Hello, Andrew.
Hello. Oh, lovely to be with you.
So great to be with you. I'm very excited to talk about our journey together coming up.
Absolutely thrilling to me that our first meeting and our falling in love and our talking and me coming to teach in your wonderful group and sensing your soul and the depth of your passion for the tradition you love so much. It's so
Mm.
wonderful to think all of that has culminated in doing a journey into Scotland that's so unbelievably precious to us both and such a constant source of revelation to us both.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think
What a
we've
lovely
known,
birth. Thank you.
thank you. I think we've known
Oh,
we were going to do this for a while. Maybe in 2018 we talked about it.
yes. And then COVID came but I
Mm.
think the importance of taking such a sacred pilgrimage at this moment is even greater than it would have been had we done it 3 or 4 years ago, because the world is clearly at this massive evolutionary shift point.
Mm.
Everything's possible, but everything's also at stake. And everything will depend upon the level of our consciousness and the level of the choices that we make for the future out of as expanded a consciousness as possible.
Absolutely.
And what expands the consciousness more than sacred pilgrimage?
It's true.
Because pilgrimages are practical mysticism. They are lowering yourself into the birthing stream of grace,
Mm.
saying to the mystery, I acknowledge that I long for you, and I'm going to put myself in the way of you, trembling and trying to turn away, but staring at you whenever I can so that you can transform me. That's basically the true prayer of the pilgrim, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. And I know that I know sacred pilgrimages are very special to your heart.
Oh,
And
yes.
yeah, they are to mine as well. And that's really what I'm completely focused on at this point in my life. I've always had a lot of irons in
For
the
me,
fire, but this
increasingly
is it.
too, because
Mhm.
I find that in a sacred pilgrimage, miracles, subtle miracles can happen, both to those who come and myself and you who are participating in helping creating a birthing experience for people. Because there's something so potent about taking the plug of your life and putting it into the electricity of sacredly charged sites and places where people have experienced God with rapture and awe and amazement again and again and again. So that experience is embodied in the rocks, embodied in the smells of the wind, embodied in the little puddles reflecting the leaves. It's everywhere. You enter it. And Scotland is one of those places. Scotland is one of the places where the veils are very thin between
Mhm.
us and the mystery. And it's a place that's particularly dear to me because my family on my father's side is Scottish.
Mm.
A Scottish crofter called John Harvey went to India in the 1820s, and my family stayed there
Mhm.
and were majors and generals and heads of police and amazing men who are very brave in wild and strange and lonely situations.
Mm.
Incredible
Yeah.
courage of the Scot mind heart, incredible, rugged, wild, still pulsing, ancient,
Mm.
vibrant, almost savage and primordial part of Scotland, which you can't escape when you're there. It's a huge incubator of another level of rugged embrace, isn't it? Of
It is.
reality.
Yeah, and the humility, the humility of the Scottish people. I always think, it's
Such a lovely word, humility. And it goes with the humor that they have too, that
it does.
incredible humor and the warmth. They're
Mm.
so present physically, aren't they, the Scottish? They're really an embodied erotic people. I don't, if that's the right word, they're a sensuous people, a sensual, rugged, sensual people. And it's so
Right.
wonderful to be with them. They make you feel more embodied yourself.
They do. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
When you were speaking, I was thinking about 2 years ago. I mean, I've had this experience a few times there, but 2 years ago, I was on the Isle of Skye and I was walking a path. And I had this, these moments of pure presence that you get, what you're speaking of. And I realized I guess that, if I was in that place all the time, not only the land, but the space that it brings out of you, that state that it brings out of you, that I would never be sick, that I would be always at peace,
Ah,
that it would just be this
you'd be
perpetual.
tuned to
Right,
to the
right.
Tao.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah. And
yes.
people do get that there. And the beautiful thing about it is you can take that wherever you go.
Once
You,
you've
you know,
experienced it, you
yeah,
can make it into an essence that you smell when you need it. That's
absolutely.
what pilgrimage offers you because you enter into a birthing stream of grace. You open yourself to the mystery. The mystery then unfolds what you need to experience and learn for your deepest flowering. And then you integrate it afterwards. And it's a whole mystical path. It's a whole mystical way of coming to celebrate God in you and in the world. And I want to emphasize that word celebration because for me, the fact that we're doing this together is a celebration. The fact that it's in Scotland is a celebration. The fact that it takes us to so many of the most charged and vibrant places in that mystical world, that vast, rich, wild, mystical world we love, that's a celebration. But the actual celebration is the pilgrimage itself. Because think about it, when you decide to go on a pilgrimage, you really say to yourself somewhere, something says in you, my soul is hungry for more expansion, for more joy, for more peace, for more sacred knowledge. It's the most wonderful thing you could ever say to yourself.
Mm,
And when you put that into practice, you're activating the grace that is resonating and vibrating in the places that you're about to go to. And then what unfolds is if you're being guided by midwives of mystery like
mm,
Raven and myself, what happens is that everybody goes through a increasingly conscious birthing mystery in which we become more and more loving and more wise and more attentive and more saturated with what these inexpressibly holy places have kept for us to give us the water we need to drink now more than
yes.
ever.
Yes. Yeah, there's something so profound that happens when we walk on the land of our ancestors. And
Yes.
they're all our ancestors. It's people have been there for 12,000 years,
Yes.
but it's as if the wisdom and the connection to the land and the reverence for the stories and the folklore, even they come back online for us, to use a more modern term,
Yes.
and
But
it's
isn't even more than that, darling? I'm
mhm,
just suggesting this. I think what I experience more and more at this stage of my life
mhm.
is the love of the great ones who have been in these places for us. It's not a past experience. They are
Sure,
there waiting for us.
sure,
The
sure.
great sages, the great mystics, the great places of revelation, the
Mm,
great caves where people have achieved enlightenment. These places are places in which the presence that the person became is waiting for us. The beloved is waiting for us to charge us, open us, empower us, irradiate us, humble
mhm.
us,
Absolutely.
only to become more receptive. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
very exciting. Do you want me to talk a little bit about
Yes,
some of the places we'll go?
please,
Um,
please. We could go on forever because
we
we
could,
said, yes.
we could absolutely. Um, so we'll start, of course, in Edinburgh, and that's this
Most
beautiful
noble,
Gothic
beautiful
city.
city. Edinburgh is
Oh,
a mystical realization in stone of a very pure and sacred height of mind. It's an
mm,
astonishing manifestation of a certain philosophical, spiritual attitude to life, which has great nobility, which you could see reflected in the architecture. It's a very high
absolutely.
experience to begin on and with. Yeah.
It is. It is. We'll stay right on the Royal Mile. So this will be, of course, we'll go
Yes.
to more remote places in Scotland, but this will be really a city experience. And there's so much to do. So I like to, we'll start with a tour by a wonderful guide that takes us through the city, and then people can choose. They'll have time to choose what they do on their own as well. We'll have some teaching moments, some meditations, things like that, some group activities, a live concert by one of my dear friends, Corrine Polwart, and she's just this lovely spiritual singer songwriter that she'll come and do that for our group. Um,
Beautiful.
yeah, yeah. I like to do a hike up to see the sunrise at Arthur's Seat, which is right there in the city, but it's an extinct volcano. And, for those who don't want to do that, I understand, but that's always a fun thing to do as well. And I think this will kind of get our feet wet into the journey. We'll be there for 3 nights. Roslyn Chapel also will visit while we're in Edinburgh, and
Oh,
uh,
how
oh
wonderful.
my
That
goodness.
is such a source of revelation and mystery. Endless,
Yes.
endless mysteries which no one knows the answers to,
No
but
one
they're
knows.
no, it's so extraordinary that there should be places which we can approach with that degree of openness to see what happens to us in us.
Absolutely. I tell people just let it do what it needs to do to you, because every
Oh,
time I go there, it gives me what I need, no matter what that is. So beautiful place. Yeah.
well, maybe the reason nobody understands it is that it's actually incarnating a mystery that is not comprehensible either.
Mm, absolutely.
There are places like that, and they are the most illuminating places. They set you free of all concepts to experience directly.
Mm, mm.
Mm.
Well,
And this is
yeah.
so, I'm getting so excited by
Oh, I
what
am
you're
too.
reading out. It's
I
so,
am too.
I love beginning in Edinburgh because if we can find the sacred in the middle of a city, and
Mhm.
we will have great help from Edinburgh itself, but if we can, then we can really have the full experience, and we will, because
We
we'll
will.
ground ourselves from the beginning in this
Mhm.
amazing world that Edinburgh is on multiple levels.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
extraordinary, actually.
Yeah, it's a wonderful place to start, and I can't imagine doing a Scotland tour without it really. So
No,
it will be a lot of things to a lot of people always, and then we'll move on this journey now. So first of all, let me backtrack. If you map this trip out, and some people will want to do that, those people that do such things, if you map this out, you'll see that it's a big loop. It covers a lot of ground, including the 2 island excursions that we'll do. But we're not going to be on a coach for hours, because this is a gradual journey. We'll spend 3 nights in each place. We'll really be able to deeply kind of sink into the culture of each place, and the teachings that we
that's right.
experience
I mean,
there.
we will be able to really co-create a sacred experience together, both of places that carry so much charge and beauty and mystery, our own evolution, and the kinds of teachings that I'll try and offer teachings about radical regeneration of your whole self, so as to be as joyful and useful in a time madness and chaos and
Mhm.
infinite difficulty, which also happens to be time of potential amazing.
Well, I
So
have
those teachings.
experienced. Yeah, I've experienced your teachings, and maybe most people listening have. If you have not, this is uh, a life-changing thing, a transformational thing to experience Andrew Harvey's teachings. It's not even something I can put into words. To have that deep experience with you for several days, unbelievable. Very
Fun.
excited.
That part of
Mhm.
the experience is fun because I want to return to that word celebration. And I want to give you a real story about it because this is so beautiful and so important for us all, I think. Linda Tucker defends personally the white lions of South Africa, the most sacred animals in the ancient shamanic African tradition. And by accepting the role of protecting them, she was accepting a role to put her own life in extreme danger. And she asked the great shaman who gave her the role, she said, how on earth am I going to be able to bear what comes now? All the dangers, all the difficulties, all the craziness. And the shaman said one word, celebrate.
Whoa. Mm,
When you meditate on the depth of that story as it refers to what it is to be alive now, I think you come to an even deeper understanding of why a pilgrimage that is like this, a massive celebration of the divine and the human and the great majesty of the creation, a
mhm.
manifestation of the divine. You come to understand that a celebration like that could be a form of baptism for you in the new waters of the new earth that's happening
Yeah.
now. It's happening in the middle of all of this madness. That's the only way it could ever happen. That's how birth seems to happen. It's
Wow.
happening. And by going on pilgrimage, we really helped grace midwife us into the next stage of our evolution.
Mm, very,
Am I
very
making
exciting.
sense to you?
Oh my goodness, absolutely, Andrew. Absolutely.
No, it's
Yeah,
what you feel deeply too. I know, isn't it? Isn't that why you do this work? To help people to have that magic
it is.
reappear. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such it's a privilege, to see that happen, to see any from the small experience to the grand one, it's just such a privilege.
Shopping, to having a good shop. If you, everything is sacred. What you learn on pilgrimage is that of course, it's incredible to be at Rosslyn Chapel, but you could also be sipping a Scotch whiskey on the Royal Mile and having an experience of, oh my God, life is amazing. Thank you, God, for giving me this life. So
Right.
all things reveal their sacred, radiant underbelly to you when you're on a pilgrimage because you're bringing all aspects of your whole self together in relation to this vast, mysterious world you're entering. It's so amazing what can
It is.
happen because of that, isn't
Mm,
it?
it is. It is. Yeah. Yeah. So I could just get carried away, Andrew.
Me too.
But I'll go back and to our journey. We'll journey up to Oban. And have you been to Oban, Andrew?
Never.
It's
No, there are places I have never been to, which is absolutely wonderful for me because
yeah.
then I get to be a pilgrim too,
Well,
in
it's
that deep
actually
sense. Yeah.
absolutely. It's the place that I've been the least. I've been there several times, but it's the place on our journey that I've been the least. So I've never taken a group to stay for 3 nights there. But it's a really special place, and I really felt to put it on this tour. It's a port town, on the West Coast,
I've
but it's
seen
also
photos and I've read
yeah,
about it. It's a fascinating and profound and multi-level place.
it
A great
is.
spiritual radiance. Yes.
Absolutely. And gateway to the islands. So, of course, we'll go to
Yes.
the Isles of Mull and Iona, two very special islands in the Inner Hebrides. Now, Mull,
Iona. Oh,
oh, yeah. Yeah. And Mull is a perfect little Scottish island, it's it has beauty, it has mountains, it has culture, it has castles, it has whiskey, so
It's a
uh,
marvelous place. And it's kept a lot of its most vibrant old spirit. It hasn't lost its soul. It's
mhm,
still a unique space,
it is.
isn't
And
it?
it is, and even though Iona is called the Little Holy Land, and it's been the center for
Of course.
pilgrimage for a long time, for
Yes.
14, 1,500 years. But a lot of people feel Mull is even more pure as far as that goes, as far as the spiritual sense. So it's interesting, it's different for different people, but both of those islands just will be must visits on our Sacred Scotland trip. There's an interesting legend around. I started to say Mull. It's Iona. An interesting legend that Jesus and Mary Magdalene visited there, and that Mary Magdalene is even buried there. So, yeah, it will be fun
I
to
think she was
explore
buried
that.
in the south of France myself because I
Yeah,
really, but how wonderful the spirit of that place must be for people to imagine it as the burial place of someone so amazing and so holy and so brave.
absolutely,
It's the
absolutely.
mythic
Yeah.
connections that are really
Mhm.
amazing, aren't they? When you stop saying, is it true? Is it not true? Then you enter into the field of the magic that created that need for that name.
Right, absolutely. And there's
It's
there's
so
there's no
beautiful. Yeah.
shortage of those in Scotland. So,
No, no, no.
so from
But you find
Oban,
that the
mhm,
name is a gateway still
yeah,
into the experience, yes.
it is
It is.
absolutely.
It's so shamanic and magical, isn't it, Scotland? Scotland's very grounded and earthy in its spirituality, but yet that spirituality opens up so vast. And
Mm,
it's vast also in the nature itself, so that the spirituality and the nature become one transmission. That's why it's like the Himalayas, like
mm.
Ladakh, where Tibetan Buddhism and the mountains become one transmission. It's the same with the essence of Scottish spirituality in all of its manifestations, isn't it?
Mm.
It's that authentic oneness you experience when you enter Scotland's true vibration.
It is, it is, yeah. Yeah, it's so interesting and fascinating and lovely to see that happen to people too, and for
It
them to have
is.
that experience. And some people have it in the cities, and some people
Yes.
have it in the most remote. Well, I was thinking Rosemarkie Beach, which is outside of Inverness. That's the next place we're going. But I had someone that had this profound experience with sand between her toes. So just like you said, we could be
It
sipping
comes in
whiskey.
whatever way it would, but it will come. It's amazing.
Hmm.
And I've taken so many pilgrimages now, and it's something that I truly love and will be doing more as I grow older because I want to focus on pilgrimages, one of the really most sacred things I can do for people at the moment. And in all of the pilgrimages that I've been privileged to guide and be part of, extraordinary things have happened to everyone in subtle, different ways.
Hmm.
And that's why it's such a privilege to guide a pilgrimage because you know that if you do your very best, there may be a chance that everybody has a miraculous experience because so much grace is streaming towards the people who come. It's something I experience very deeply whenever I take a pilgrimage.
Mm, that's our plan. That's it. Um, Inverness is our next stop, and that is is, of course, as you know, it's on the northeast coast, but there are lots of little trips out from there that are really special. There's Cairns, which is only a very short drive, and that's a prehistoric burial site with
An
cairns
amazing
and
sight.
yeah,
Oh,
standing stones. It's really beautiful, so peaceful, and not not hugely touristed either.
to
So
be alone there,
you
you
can.
can, if you're very
Mhm.
blessed, just have it all to yourself. This primordial radiation, amazing.
And actually, that's good to mention that the time of year we're going is actually a pretty great time to go as far as crowds or having places to ourselves. Of course, we'll go some places that uh, aren't on any maps. So that will be, we'll always be
I
by
hope so.
ourselves there.
Yes,
Yeah. But
on any known map. Yeah.
right, right. But it's yeah, yeah, that's a great time to go. So I'm glad it worked out for us to do that. And
It's a
and
beautiful time. It's the best time, actually. Let's say it because the air is the freshest. It's the most pristine time, and you're neither too hot as you can be in late summer or too cold. You're at that perfect moment.
it is,
So
yeah.
it's a wonderful time to, and in a way, that's what Scotland itself is that time of year. The essence of Scotland has that kind of raw freshness that October, that the dates we're
Mhm.
going has. Yeah.
It is. It is. And even, the very first of October, I was there this year, and it was still pretty, there were still some
Yes,
crowds
can be
places.
balmy. Yeah,
And then by, the 6th or 7th, they were gone. So I'm very excited that we picked this time to
me
do
too.
this. And Rosemarkie Beach, I mentioned that we can see usually dolphins are there and such spiritual animals. Um, and Loch Ness, of course, we'll go to Clavicairns, I mentioned. Clootie Well, I always love to do a water
Must
ceremony.
pray for the health of the Loch Ness monster when we're there. We must pray for the undemonization, the blessing of the monster. We'll stand by the lake and we'll
Yes.
send vibrations of infinite love towards this very brave being. And we'll go viral. We'll
Would
start
love
a
to do
bless
that.
free the Loch Ness monster. Yes.
They always say that there are sightings right at the beginning of tourist season of the Loch Ness monster. I hope that she's well hidden.
Poor darling God. Yeah.
Uh,
By now she must know. Yes.
Inverness, so we'll leave Inverness after 3 days there. We will leave and go to Dunkeld, which is my favorite little town in Scotland. It's on the banks of the River
Never been.
Tay. You've never
Oh,
been? Oh, I'm so
no,
excited.
God. Is it ancient and with wild little streets? Yes.
It is. It's very tiny, but let me tell
Yes.
you, Andrew, you'll love this. So there's a bridge across the river, and on the other side of the bridge is a little town called Burnham. So it's Dunkeld, Burnham. They're walking distance between each other. Burnham is famous for Burnham Wood in Macbeth.
In Macbeth, yes.
Yeah, and the oak tree that the ancient oak tree that would have been there when Shakespeare visited is still there. So we'll certainly see that. But it's also Robert Burns was inspired by the Birks of Aberfeldy, which is a beautiful waterfall hike that we'll do. And Beatrix Potter has a little museum
Ah,
in Burnham. She stayed, spent these enchanting summers with her family in Dunkeld as a child, and she came back as an adult and wrote Peter Rabbit. So, really beautiful, fun
that's so,
history.
I didn't know that. That's so
Yeah,
amazing. And the atmosphere of that kind of purity is there. You feel that strange magic when you're there.
you do. You really do. It's and the people, of course, they know our groups well, and they are always excited for us to come. We support, love supporting that local economy, and they're just the most open, wonderful, creative people. Lots of music there. It's Doogie McLean's stomping ground. So yeah, we'll just have, and of course music is so sacred, Andrew.
Yes. And getting into the pubs at night and listening to some of the amazing folk music that you can hear on Mall and other places
uh,
is
mm,
just so. The only thing that is inspiring to me is being in Africa and seeing the tribes dance that
mm,
hour of celebration. But you feel that joy in a Scottish pub at 10 o'clock when you've had a glass of wine and people are singing and dancing and really radiating love, tremendous,
uh,
joyful love. It's amazing, isn't it?
it's amazing. And we
Amazing.
we'll do a fire down by the river, and have kind of an impromptu session where local storytellers and, will come, and some banjo players and some fiddle players, and
Wow.
we'll have some fun with the locals as well there. And then we're back to, after 3 nights there, we're back to Edinburgh for our final night, and it will kind of will culminate with a group dinner and sharing, and that will be our journey.
That's, God, that sounds so fabulous. I'm dizzied by the thought of it. It's really wonderfully outlined and planned and organized it so beautifully so that it can be both exciting and integrating, because both will
Absolutely.
be needed. It's an amazingly intense journey in the best sense. And
Mhm.
if you prepare yourself for it and let it happen to you, the way it's been structured is so beautiful because
Mm.
it will allow you to really, really open yourself to transformation in the most joyful and amusing and celebratory way.
It will. And speaking of that, I would love for you to share your vision of the teachings that you'll share.
Well, what I am doing now at this time in my life in my work is dedicating everything that I write and speak about to the vision that I have of what I call radical regeneration, of really offering the world at this moment of incredible crisis the essential truths from all of the mystical traditions that will help us birth ourselves into another level of embodied divine consciousness so that we can rise to this challenge and co-create with the divine a new way of being and doing everything, which
Mm.
is, I think, a good idea. And given everything. And in this massive opening that we're all going through, this massive opening that is this terrifying world crisis that we're in, amazing new powers are being opened up to us. And my teaching wants to celebrate these amazing new powers that come from allowing this experience to be not a defeat and a paralysis, but a birthing experience of a new level of humble, passionate, divine human presence on the earth, giving yourself to the great adventure and to loving and serving others and offering your life as a prayer for a new world to arise out of the ashes of the old. So I'll be concentrating on the vision of the new divine human that's coming in through the great mystical traditions, through evolutionary mysticism, through Christianity and Tibetan Buddhism, trying to essentialize them for you.
Mm.
And then giving from my own deepest experience the best birthing practices that we can do together in beautiful and holy ways during the pilgrimage so that we marry teachings with direct, extraordinary, tender community experiences of the teaching so that the birthing message becomes an actual lived experience. That's what I'm hoping for.
Mm. Beautiful. Wow. So,
Uh,
Andrew, what draws you to Scotland? I know it's the home of your ancestors. I know that it's magical, but is there, you go to lots of magical places,
Well,
mysterious
actually,
places.
it's such a lovely question, Danny. Thank you for asking it. And the truth is that what draws me to Scotland is what drew me to Scotland right at the beginning when I first went there when I was 14
Hmm.
with a great friend. And we went to visit the old ruined abbeys of Scotland, the wild, wintry, rugged Gothic abbeys that had been struck by lightning or sacked in some war and left there like raw ruins. And they were so majestic and so beautiful and so noble and so lonely
Mm,
that they seared my heart's imagination. They became permanent symbols of the soul and the endurance of the soul through everything. So when I go to Scotland, and all the times I've gone to Scotland, it's just been a expansion of that experience.
mm,
It's been a revelation of the depths of the utterly authentic beauty that you can experience both in the loneliness of certain parts of Scotland and in the rugged warmth of dancing with Scots in a pub while they play wild fiddle music that just takes the top of your head off because it's so joyful. It's a very potent world, isn't it?
it is. It is. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what draws me back. And
Mm,
to tell you the actual truth, I am trying to find my own Scottish essence because I feel that so much of what I've been able to do in my work has come from the rugged Scottish side of my family because they were
sure.
tough guys, those guys. They had to go through hell
Mm,
and they were brave and they taught me stuff. My blood has taught me stuff. But there's another side to the Scots, the Celtic, the mystical, the holy, which is so potent and is part of also of what. So I'm really on a pilgrimage inside my own soul to find the Scottish part of my ancestry, but the Scottish part of my own soul, my own. I feel far more Scottish than I do English, for example.
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just,
That's
in one's
beautiful.
own personal journey, there are these subtle riddles that you have. And what I want to integrate within my soul is what draws me to Scotland to complete my own journey. What
Mm,
is it that I am looking for? And I don't know the answer to that, and I don't think I ever will. But I think that that's what makes taking a pilgrimage so thrilling, is taking people into a field of expanding mystery. It's not going to get simpler, it's going to get more and more amazing.
well, I am so excited and honored to take this journey with you to
Me
see
with
what
you,
unfolds.
darling.
Oh
We're
my
going to
goodness.
have a lot of fun. We are going to construct this experience together. We're going to be mommy and daddy, right?
We are. We are.
We are.
I'm very
I can't
excited.
wait to work with you. It's going to be so lovely, and we will take good care of you. If
We
you
will.
want to join us, we will love you and give whatever help we can be in giving you the most amazing experience for us to
Mhm.
cherish and to nurture your life.
Mm. And, you know, you don't have to worry about a thing except your own expansion, your own joy, your own enjoyment. We've got you. We've got everything covered, so you don't have to worry about getting from here to there or
Relax.
any of that.
Well,
So it's just you can focus on what you need to focus on. Very exciting, Andrew. Thank you so much.
thank you, my darling. What a lovely conversation. How lovely to see you and be with you.
Good to see
And
you
love to you all
always.
out there. Please come and join us. We'd love it.